There's a fine line between being cut off from the world and retreating for individual growth. I think the current age is full of opportunities to progress, especially for men going their own way, because they are not tethered to the family unit anymore. I would like to talk about the fine line between social isolation and individual empowerment. I think we are all pioneers of a changing environment. We are adaptable beings, bending along with the world, yielding for the big stuff that we cannot do much about. For some people, I guess, this is a very scary idea, especially in this day and age, where stable marriage is withering away from a collective normative framework and is going to be replaced by, well, no one knows. Coming from a broken home and having experienced a great sense of instability in my youth, prospect of broken homes becoming the social norm has always terrified me. I was terrified that my future children will go through the same shit as I have. But on the other hand, here I am, a 30-something-year-old guy, and I'm not doing bad actually. Back in my early youth, it just wasn't the norm yet, so I always received a treatment of specialness and pity as a child when I told someone that my parents are divorced. Coming from a dysfunctional family didn't make me good or bad. I'm just wired differently, and I think the instability has made me quite fit and adaptable for the changes to come. Not being able to let go of things that are not here anymore, being too conservative, being nostalgic all the time, will just make you miserable and closed off to life. During my red pill rage phase, which I will talk more about in the future, I have completely closed myself off for everyone except a few friends and family members. I went to work, did my thing, felt miserable. Went home, did my thing, felt miserable. The weekends I spent alone, I felt miserable. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. I don't think it was just the solitude that made me miserable, but the stance I took against the world during these periods of solitude that also affected the way I presented myself in the workplace. It was a stance of hostility. It was a stance of great and utter resentment. I hated women. I hated men who like women. I hated men who associated with men who like women. I hated men who disagreed with my hate towards women. I started to see every male around me as blue-pilled, and the only red-pilled men, or MGTOW men, the ones I wanted to associate with, were strangers online. Most likely, you are one of them. Social isolation based on resentment and anger is unhealthy. It's destructive. But all I do is seeking the truth, you might say. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I think truth seeking is actually a very rewarding activity for humanity. But when you have found a certain painful truth about the human predicament, can you truly accept it and move on? What I see many people do is just pinning themselves to that particular painful truth, or maybe a set of intertwined painful truths, and let their whole existence revolve around it. Well, that creates misery. If you swallow the red pill and you start to see it through the veil and see what human interactions are really about, and female nature and the corrupt government and the globalization agenda, and you feel like shit about it, it doesn't mean that you should attach yourself to those ever-evolving and ever-changing earthly matters and constantly obsessively expose yourself to them. I mean, if that isn't masochism, I don't know what else it is. There's more to life. These are just properties of the game we are in, right now, right here on the planet, in this solar system, in this universe. Maybe in 10 years everything has changed, but the past will never come back, and we have to play with the hand we are dealt with. So we swallow the red pill. What's next? Well, here's when individual empowerment comes in. To explain this, I want you to imagine your life as playing a video game. We can stop playing out of sheer misery and resentment for everything that the game comprises of, until you run out of time. Game over. Well, that's an option, but is that really how you want to live? The second option is to play stupid, get wrecked every 5 minutes. That's an idiot playing. The third option is using the step-by-step guide that the game developers have handed you. You succeed doing everything by the book, but you realize in the end that you have followed other people's rules. That's the blue pillar's way. What we do is that before we grab that controller, we create our own rules and define our own unique game plan. And then we smash the game in our own unique way. And when we feel the need, we retreat. For example, to redefine our plans, to fuel ourselves, to think through our strategies. And when we are ready, off we go again. The possibility we create for ourselves to be part of the world and retreat from the world when we wish is an outstanding facet of the current Western civilization. It's a luxury. In the Dark Ages, for example, because of small communities and the absence of decent transport, everyone was on display. Social control was everywhere. In third world countries and many ethnic communities in the West, collectivism and social control are still very strong. The positive side of this is a strong community and a conservation of the family unit. The negative one is the lack of personal freedom and ability to make individual life choices that go against the group ideology without reprisals. But at this moment, deciding our individual path is the way to go in the West. It might be frightening for some, and social isolation is an easy pit to fall into. Nevertheless, it is what it is. I'd say, make the best out of it. Be happy, be free, and use solitude to your advantage. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.